Good morning, everyone. All right, we've just been talking about changing, Carolyn and I, have just been talking about changing up our, so to speak, set, the place I sit, so you can, I don't know why we should, but anyway, she thought it might be a good idea. But a good idea is, she said that we should come in with music as, gentle music as we're coming. So all I can do for now, because it's too late, because we only just thought of it, but I can sing a few strains of The Evening Breeze, Caress the Trees Tenderly. Is that good enough?
Beautiful.
La 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 la. Anyway, this is going to be our theme song, apparently. So we're going to play you in with that next week, if we remember, of course, and we're going to play us out with that, if you remember. My little voice singing Tenderly, which I did record that song for my daughter, and of course now it also belongs not just to my daughter but to my grandson as well. All right, first of all, before we begin, as always, I would like to say good morning to my spirit guide Gregel, who is standing to this right side of me, and of course to my far right, say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
There you are, and here she is again. All right, our theme for today is, what is the point of knowing your soul sign? Is there a point anyway? I mean, who cares? I mean, most people go through life not really knowing what star sign they are. Not most people, but many people, I should say, don't care. Makes no difference to them. But what if soul signs is different? What if it really does make a difference to know what soul sign you are and to know what soul sign other people are? And it actually really does, in my opinion anyway, make a huge difference. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what different soul signs, what our soul group is. We're going to talk about and this is very general, remember. It's really a general overview, but still can be pretty accurate overview of what environment best suits you, work environment. What work environment would best suit you if you were an earth sign, as I am, if you were a water sign, as Carolyn is, if you were an air sign, or if you were a fire sign. So we've done, a little bit of fiddling about. Carolyn's going to remind me of what we talked about. And Carolyn and I are going to have a little discussion. So we're going to be, it's the two of us. So she's going to be involved in today's show much more than usual, because usually she just asks the questions. So we're going to sort of have like a conversation. So we're going to start with earth signs. If you are an earth sign, and remember, this is not about astrology. This is about soul signs. What your soul sign is, how your soul was created, from what kind of energy your soul is created, all of that good stuff. So I'm an earth sign. My soul was created from this particular energy. My character traits are such that my environment or my working environment would be. And I can pretty much tell this off the top of my head. But Carolyn, why don't you start with a little list we made for earth signs, and then we'll come in and discuss a little bit more.
Okay.
Hold on one second, sorry. If you're an earth sign, you are either a warrior soul, a visionary soul. I'm a warrior soul. My daughter is a visionary soul, or a, what else is there? No, I'm just kidding, hunter soul. All right. So what did we put down for those?
For the planners, the strategizers, good work environments would be politics, charitable organizations, teachers, CEOs, any position where great organizational skills are needed.
Right. And that works for the hunter soul, and it also works for the warrior soul, because we are the organizers, we are the politicians, we are those people who will sort of, call us bossy or call us assertive. I like to think of myself as being assertive, but I know a hunter soul who is a bit bossy from time to time. Chris is going to love me for that one. She's going to really, really balk at that one. But anyway, but our organizational skills are superb when we put our mind to it. They really are, and we can organize other people. My forte as an earth sign is to get other people to do the work. So I am a good delegator, right? I delegate, you know, you do this, and you do that. I'm able to see, despite being psychic, or perhaps maybe not despite, but anyway, I'm able to see other people's strengths and other people's qualities and what they might be best at, and in what way they can help me, or in what way they can help themselves. However, my daughter is a visionary soul. She's an earth sign, and her real forte is in writing. But even in her writing, she's organized. She plans and she strategizes and she works things out. But she's very, very creative in that role, much more creative than I, although I'm creative too. I think we all can be creative, but basically the earth sign skills are about organizing. I think we talked in one of our shows about what does Rosemary and Donald Trump have in common. Not a lot, I have to say, but we are both earth signs. Donald Trump is a hunter soul and I'm a warrior soul. We're very much alike in many ways, because we're both able to delegate, to organize, to, you know, to sort of, let's say, inspire people to and motivate people to move it. As my grandson would say, I gotta move it, move it. I gotta move it, move it. And so I'm a good person to help other people to move it and to motivate people. An earth sign skills, if you're an earth sign, you know, that's what you're good at. And don't be too afraid when people tell you how bossy you are as an organizer, because remember, you can be bossy, but much better to be assertive, because people respect you if you're assertive, and they don't like it if you really pushy and bossy and overdo it. So, you know, the problem with earth signs is, and I can say this as an earth sign myself, is we do tend to interfere just a bit from time to time. Can't help it. Just can't help it. You see, I just can't help it. I'm an earth sign. But yes, and my daughter is able to tell me when I'm interfering too much. All right, now we're going to go to our water.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead. Question. Yes.
About the earth signs. Is it fair to say that a lot of entrepreneurs are earth signs?
Yes, very, very much so.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because, you know, CEOs are heads of organization, and for instance, I know earth signs who are brilliant at organizing charitable, you know, any charitable thing, as water signs can be too, but as I suppose a lot of people can be. But this is the forte of an earth sign, is to get in there, roll up your sleeves and start and organize. So whether it's you're organizing a soup kitchen, whether you're organizing in a doctor's ward or whatever, or whether you as an earth sign make great doctors, great surgeons, because, you know, we just are very single-minded, and we're able to focus very, very clearly on what we want and how we want something to work out for us. That is a very, you know, real strength of an earth sign. Shall we go to?
Well, did we want to talk who they work best with?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Go ahead then. Yes. So well, okay. An earth sign, the most compatible for an earth sign in any relationship, whether it's work, whether it's home, whether it's love, or whatever it is, in any relationship, an earth sign can work very, very well with another earth sign. But if there is an issue as to who's in charge, they will clash. However, the topmost person or people that an earth sign can work with are water signs, because water signs are also planners and strategists. However, they are compromisers, and they'll find ways to compromise. And Carolyn and I think it tells, you know, it's really good. It's really good for us because Carolyn's a water sign and I'm an earth sign. and she'll sort of put me right on something when she guides me, she steers me, she sort of tells me what needs to be done and what, and if I go off in a tangent, she'll sort of pull me back to where I need to be. As an earth sign, I'm able to, sort of work with her and say to her, look, we need to do this and this and that, which I do a lot. After all, I am the boss. Not going to be. I can't not be a boss. Earth signs can't not be bosses. It's awful, really. Even if we're not a boss in our work environment, we'll probably go home and boss the husband or something. Sorry about that, Karen. But anyway, aren't you married to an earth sign? She's married to an earth sign who comes home and tries to boss her about, you see. I'm not as bossy as your husband by any means. I'm just assertive. I just know what I want to do when I want to do it. And I'm also a much more mature earth sign, I think, than Danny, dare I say, than Carolyn's husband. Given the nature of who I am and what I do, I mean, it would be very surprising if I were not more mature and more able to sort of control those character traits and to use my character traits as an earth sign in the best way possible. However, in a work environment, I'm rabbiting on, in a work environment, a water sign will work exceptionally well with an earth sign. Now, strange as it may seem, our little air signs are those gentle, lovely, they float along. They're usually those really nice people who sort of, think you can walk over them so easily. And the danger of working with an earth sign, working with an air sign, is that an earth sign can walk all over them. But air signs are those people that we really do need in our lives, because those air signs are those people who will do all those rotten jobs that nobody else wants to do. They're the helpers. They are the people who, keep the cogs oiled. They're the builders of the stage. They're the people who, we need, because, and yes, earth signs tend to get irritated with air signs sometimes, because they do seem to be off in the clouds on their own and in their own head from time to time. But they are lovely, and all an air sign wants is to do a good job and for you to say, good job, well done, which I do try to do. Let's move on now to water signs. Shall we move on to water signs now?
Sure.
Let's get off of me and on to somebody else. Right, water signs. Let's get on to you, Carolyn. All right, what did we say about water signs?
Compromisers, the carers. Good work environments would be nursing, EMTs, counselors, teachers, managers.
Basically,
personal assistants.
Basically, a water sign is that person who is able to, sort of to work with people. And water signs do need people around them. Not necessarily all the time, but they do need to interact, because a water sign's nature, the basis of a water sign's character traits is that compromising situation where you can compromise, I suppose, with yourself, but it's much easier if you've got lots of other people. You can use that skill of compromising. You can use that skill of healing and helping, and through counseling or whatever it is. So water signs do make really great counselors, and they do work they do need to work in environments where there are people who they can help and they can be involved with, where they can find solutions. That's what a water sign does. A water sign will find solutions. A water sign is able to sort of flow and float, using the river to flow and float and meander here and there, go over rocks when necessary, push over the rocks, but otherwise, they'll find ways around things, and they'll help people to find themselves. They'll help people to find their positive environments and their positive character traits. So water signs and earth signs, a water sign will feed an earth sign. I'm not sure I think earth signs give water signs a place to be, a place to go. They give a direction to a water sign. So water signs and earth signs are so interactive with each other that they naturally will work very well together in a work environment. If you are an earth sign and there's one person in your office or in your work environment who drives you nuts, who you can't stand because of the drama and the dramatics and the unfairness and so on and so forth, it's going to be a fire sign. That doesn't mean the fire sign is awful. It just means that fire signs and earth signs are the most incompatible. Having said that, one of my very closest and very best friends is a darling fire sign, and she's bright star. She's driven me crazy over the years, and I must admit I've had her up against a wall a few times, you know, hands around the throat, giving her a good shaking sort of thing. But we are the closest, and I love her dearly, and she loves me dearly. So it can work. It does work. It just, if you understand your soul sign, you can make any relationship work in any way you want, as long as you understand you and as long as you understand the person you're trying to get to grips with and to make something work with. Okay. So
I was just thinking about my top
Go ahead.
disliked jobs.
Go ahead.
I was alone by myself. I was a file clerk in a basement once, and I photocopied papers where we weren't allowed to talk to anybody during the whole day. I don't think I lasted a week at either job. I was miserable.
Well,
and my favorite job,
I'm going to bring you into the camera here a little bit there, because the people are hearing this disembodied voice there, so that's better. So go ahead. What were you saying?
My most enjoyable jobs were as a dispatcher for a cable company and the manager of a pizza place.
You mean aside from what?
I said that first. I said aside from this job. You have to rewind this tape.
As we said, water signs definitely do need people, working with people and organizing and sorting things out and making things work, because that's what water signs are best at. All right, let's move on. Shall we go into the air signs now? What did we say about them, Carolyn?
They're passive and calming, good work environment, anything to do with art, work for creative people, sous chefs, any helping position.
Yeah, those air signs are those people that we'll often overlook, and we never should. Because those air signs are the people in the background who will make things work. And without them, our lives, the rest of us, would be chaotic, to say the very least. Air signs are those people who will build the stage. And I don't mean necessarily literally with hammer and nails, but they'll build a stage. They'll help to put things in order. They're the ones who will volunteer, and they're the people who I love to have volunteering for me, because although they drive me crazy because they are ahead in the clouds a lot of the time, and you have to keep nudging them and prodding them and reminding them of what they might like to do or what they should do or what they should have done. This is an earth sign speaking, you see. Carolyn will come from a completely different place from me. You'll be much more tolerant of them, won't you? You'll be much more loving of them, won't you?
I was just recalling an air sign moment of my daughter.
Go ahead.
I said to her, can you take out the trash and the recycling? So she's got her arms filled, gets over to the door, calls me, Mom, can you come open the door? My hands are full. And I said, no, open the door yourself. Well, how do I do that? My hands are full. Now she's 12. And I said, you set something down, open the door. We've been through this before.
Yeah, that's an air sign for you. Just darling, that you've got to love them, even though you could strangle them. You got to love them.
Yes.
Because they're so sweet, usually coming from a very good place. Very naive, very, very naive. I think your daughter is a newborn, isn't she?
Yes.
So beautifully naive, very creative. So any creative environment for an air sign, and being creative with helping people and with being that person at the background, in the background, because air signs don't particularly like to be at the forefront of a thing. Earth signs will be by their very nature. They often have to be. Water signs really do not like. I'm surprised Karen is still sitting in the camera.
I'm very uncomfortable.
Water signs do not usually like to be. They're like, you do it. If anybody's got to stand in front of the camera, it's usually going to be either an earth sign or a fire sign. And an earth sign will do it because it's necessary. An air sign, a fire sign will do it. If I had a friend here who's a fire sign, she'd be pushing me out of the way to get her face in the camera instead of mine. That's how it works for fire signs, because fire signs are just all about that fabulous, passionate energy. But back to air signs just for a second here. So what?
They work best with fire signs because they need spark.
Yes, they do. Fire signs and air signs are so compatible. Without air, fire cannot exist, and you know, without fire, an air sign's life would be pretty drudgery. So they do like air signs do like the spark and the sparkle and the passion of, and they're inspired by the passion of fire signs. So you just have to be careful that you don't, you know, burn the house down. Too much air and too much fire could burn the house down. You just have to be careful with that part of it. Mm-hmm. But air signs are those lovely people. So if you're an air sign and you want to know where to go in what environment, you know, be a volunteer. That's always a good place to start. Or go into something creative, because air signs do need to express themselves in a wonderfully sort of rose-colored glasses sort of way. They love to sort of float and dream, and if you put those dreams into practicality with the help of perhaps an earth sign or a water sign, if you can put those dreams into practicality, an air sign will be very, very happy in that environment, in those kinds of environments. But nursing is a great environment for an air sign. Pretty much anywhere where they can be helpful, where they can help, and where they can do the jobs that usually nobody else wants to do. Oh,
assistant managers.
Yes. Yeah, even assistant managers. Okay, so now we're coming to the fire signs. Yes.
Driven by passion.
Driven by passion. Always driven by passion, a fire sign.
Good work environment would be the theater, art, any creative job where they can show off their talents, where they shine.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say with fire signs, I'm laughing because perhaps I'm not the person to talk about fire signs, because, you know, I am an earth sign after all. They are my least compatible mate. Having said that, I've already mentioned I have a friend who I admire so much, and she's definitely a bright star. My goodness, she wants to shine every time. And if she were here, she would be laughing. She would be doing anything possible to get your attention, because that's who she is, and she's a darling. She's lovely. But any environment where a fire sign can be seen, be admired, or be valued, be obviously valued, is a good place for a fire sign. But fire signs are driven by their passions, by their emotions, and so anywhere where you're going to have emotional dire situations is perhaps not a great place for a fire sign, unless that fire sign is a more mature, because their emotions can get the better of them, and they might not be great necessarily great in an environment where there's an emergency. They might sort of allow their passions to take over, whereas an earth sign would be calm. Certainly a water sign would be calm, and certainly an air sign might float around a bit, but they're hovering in the background. But in a traumatic situation, the fire sign is probably the least person you would want in that kind of situation, because it's not good. They tend to let their emotions run away with them, which is, fire signs are great. Fire signs are wonderful. They're so creative. They are so passionate. Except, it's great, except that when that passion overtakes reason. But then, earth signs are great until, they get too bossy to overtake reason. Water signs are great. We all have our faults and we all have our failings, but an environment, those are kinds of environments for these four soul types are are, you know, it's very valuable for us to know where to go. It's helpful for us to know in what direction to go. It's helpful for us to help our children, if we know their soul sign, to help them and guide them into what environment we know they would be good at or good in, or which would fulfill them and satisfy them. If I saw my daughter, for instance, you know, heading into an environment which I know as an earth sign will not suit her, then I'll do everything in my power to try to dissuade her from, you know, doing that. In fact, I will do everything in my power to persuade her to, you know, into things that I know earth signs shine at. So knowing your soul sign, knowing your children's soul sign, knowing the soul sign of your workmates is really helpful and valuable. I have so many people who email us complaining or worried or upset because they're working with someone who they say doesn't understand them, or that this person is mean, or they're unfair. We had an email recently saying, you know, this worker, this person she was working with was really unfair, and she treated everybody unfairly, not just her, but everybody else, etc., etc. But once you know the soul sign of perhaps that person, the boss, who you don't like, once you know that their soul sign and you read their character traits, you'll have a bit more understanding of where they're coming from. But you will also have an understanding of how to deal with them, how to talk to them, how to treat them as well, and how to make your environment better. So, do we have any questions from anyone? I forgot we're live.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's been
okay.
unattended over here.
See you in a minute. Right. Do you have any questions, Carolyn, while we're waiting? I meant from you personally.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking about children and, you know, being able to read your child. My oldest son, well, my only son, is a bright star, fire sign. And we tried him in baseball when he was younger. It was so-so. Later on, he got into BMX bikes. And he loved the bike riding and the jumping and all that.
Because it's the passion.
Because he was
and the fire.
Yes, because it was him alone.
Yeah.
Not a group.
Yeah. And he could shine on that. And he probably came home and boasted all about his exploits, because as a fire sign, fire signs do need to shine, and they do need to be able to say, look what I did. I mean, you know, it's just part of who they are. It's not a negative and it's not a positive. It's just who they are.
Got it. Interesting question from Deborah.
Hello, Deborah.
And
yes, Deborah, I'm so sorry. You know why I'm sorry, and we will rectify. I'm really sorry, darling. It just was one of those things. I'm sitting uncomfortably at the moment. I don't know if anybody can tell, but I'm a bit stiff and I'm a bit jiggly moving about at the minute. But I'm sorry, Deborah. And I also have to say sorry to Rosemary as well. And we'll rectify that situation. But anyway, let's go ahead with this question, shall we?
Okay. Sorry. Can you be 2 signs or more?
No. No. It's like saying, can a lily be a daffodil? No. Can a, I'm just trying to think, can an orchid be a rose? No. No. You are created such, and that's who you are, and that's who you will be. That's who you were before you came to this earth, and that's who you will be as you continue your journey afterwards. You can't turn a chocolate cake into a strawberry cake. You can't turn, you know, once it's made, once it's created, once you know the formula for that, whatever that product, let's call it a product, is, once that formula is set, it's set. And you know, you can improve it, or it can become more, or it can become less. A chocolate cake can be dry and nasty, or it can be, as my chocolate cake is. I want to know, did that lady we sent the recipe to make that chocolate cake, and what did she think of it? There, how about that? But you can make more of who you are. For instance, you know, you have an orchid, and if you stick it in a vase and put it in a dark place, it's just an orchid. But if you put it with other things, or if you bring it pride of place and put it in the sunshine where let it shine, then it's going to be the best and the most beautiful orchid. So you can change the look of a thing, you can enhance the personality of a thing. You can enhance the beauty of a thing, or you can diminish the beauty of a thing, but you cannot change the thing. Once an orchid, always an orchid. Once a rose, always a rose. Once an earth sign. That's me. I'm always going to be, always have been, always will be, because this is how my creation. This is what I was created as.
We've got some interesting observations and questions.
Go ahead.
Maggie is joining us.
Hello, Maggie.
She says, I work with a fire sign.
Ooh.
And I call her Hitler without a mustache.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
But she wants to know.
Wait a minute. I want to know what Maggie's. Does Maggie know what her soul sign is?
Maggie is. I think Maggie's in a water sign.
Right. Okay.
And she also wants to know, how are two fire signs together? Will they burn each other out?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yes, they'll be compatible in many things, particularly the central energy. There are three soul signs. So one is a newborn, one is a prophet, and one is a retrospective. Now the prophet, perfect. Prophet and the newborn will get on well together. They won't do anything necessarily. Have I got that right? I'm not sure if I got that right. I've not got it right, have I? Okay, anyway, whatever it is. No, the answer is no. Oh, I can't believe I've just screwed myself up there. But anyway, Maggie, no. Two earth signs are destined to set the house on fire. They can have a lot of fun and a lot of passion. There'll be a lot of passion between them. Sooner or later, though, they will burn each other out, or one will burn out the other. If you have one of the external soul signs, which is a retrospective or a newborn, right?
On which one?
I'm so confused here. The fire signs.
Oh no, fire is bright star.
That you see,
retrospective.
I'm useless.
It's because we are so.
You know what it is?
Out.
Do you know what it is? We've been working on this book yesterday. Look at all these stickies. Yes, it's coming along. Yes. And it's also a workbook, and we don't have it in here, do we? But what we've added to the soul signs, this soul signs, you can see how much bigger it is than the other one. What we've added is some pages with notes and lines to make notes, because as you're reading this, you will want to make notes. Trust me, you will want to make notes. So we've added that to make it as much of a workbook as we can. If you don't have this copy, you won't yet, but anyway. It's right. We are so soul signed out here because every day we're working on it, and I keep saying we're almost at the end. I swear to God, we're almost at the end. But I'm confused. So fire signs are the bright star, which is my friend. I just talked about this. The bright star, which is an external energy. The retrospective, which is an external energy, and the central energy, which is. I've got to get it looked up. I can't believe it. This is your favorite book.
I know.
See, I don't know. I don't know it because I'm an earth sign. I don't want to know what fire signs are. It's like, oh, and we are reminded once again that this is
traveling.
No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll come back to it in a minute. The dreaming soul. How could I possibly forget the dreaming soul? So the dreaming soul and the bright star, or the dreaming soul and the retrospective, would be okay for a while. But pretty soon, the two external energies, the bright star and the retrospective, are going to just burn out that poor little dreaming soul like you would not believe. That dreaming soul would not stand a chance at the end of the day. So they'll burn each other out. I hope, Maggie, for your sake, that you don't know two fire signs who are together, because passion. Whoa, what passion? You'll never forget that kind of passion.
Her ex-husband and two of her daughters are all fire signs.
Ooh, and you see the ex. You don't see the ex.
well, you had to convince her that he's a fire sign and not the sulfur.
No. Oh.
Because remember she was emailing, are you sure he's not sulfur?
Yeah, no, right. But he is an ex. They're tough. They're tough. Fire signs are tough. But then, you know, we all are in our own way. Fire signs and earth signs are the toughest. And I know I'm tough. I know I'm very, very tough. Right, Carolyn?
You're strong.
I'm strong.
I wouldn't call you tough. I would call you strong.
Would you call me strong? I just paid a $10 to
Yeah.
say that.
Jeez, I'm cheap.
All right, let's get some more questions in here. We
Maggie-
are having too much fun. This is ridiculous.
Maggie
Let's
says-
get down to it. Let's be serious.
Maggie says to tell you that she's an earth sign. She's a visionary.
And you were married to a fire sign.
No, she is actually married to an air sign.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. No, not Maggie. I'm so sorry. Maggie has the X.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
She
That's
was
why I
married to
thought
the
she was
fire, yes.
divorced.
Yes, I'm sorry.
An earth sign and a fire sign, forget it.
And let's see. Jean is an earth sign, and she is married to an air sign. I love him and his sweet personality. So loving and always opens the door for older people.
I bet he drives you crazy though, right, Jean? I bet he drives you crazy occasionally because, you know, when you're wanting to get moving and he's not, or he sort of his head's somewhere else.
She actually says her sister is a fire sign and they clash all the time.
Yeah. Isn't this exciting? It's so much fun. This book is so much fun. This whole concept is so much fun. And before I forget, as we're talking about it, this Grey Eagle, remember, actually, Carolyn said something to me the other day, you know, oh, there's such a great concept, you know, this is amazing, you're amazing. And I said, well, wait a minute, because I'd love to take all the credit for this, but this is Grey Eagle who did this. Grey Eagle taught me. I am only ever the student, and I only ever want to be the student. I'm also the teacher. In some ways, never with Grey Eagle, I don't think, but he's putting his hand on my shoulder. Perhaps I do teach him a thing or two. I'll probably teach him to have a bit more patience than he might have had before I came along in his life. But anyway, it's his, you know, he taught me this. So this is obviously something that the universe knows and has known for a long time. This is not a new concept. It's only new to us. It's only new to me in the last 10, 15 years and, you know, new to us. But when you know, those of you who are writing in, you say, oh, I'm this and this is so-and-so is this. When you really, really understand what your energy is made up of and the energy of other people is made up of, I mean, doesn't it make for a much nicer, much more understanding, much more tolerant life for all of us? Because, yes, was it somebody who said, Jean said, or Maggie said, the clashing with their sister who's a fire sign? But you know she can't help it, and I don't know if she knows you can't help it, but you know, having understood a little bit of soul signs, you know she just can't help it. So you're able to be a little bit, hopefully a bit more tolerant of that. And I can hear you saying, yes, it's all very well if I'm tolerant, but she isn't. I can hear you saying it right now, Jean, you see. Because I'm an earth sign too, and fire signs truly get up my nose from time to time. Right, let's have another. Do we have anybody else commenting here?
Well, we can say hi to Gabriella.
Hi, Gabriella.
She joined us today.
Hi.
We also have a Barbara Rooney. She's watching from Ireland.
Hello, Barbara Rooney from Ireland. Well, I wonder what part of Ireland. I love Ireland. Ireland's a beautiful place.
And you may want to explain, because my kids have the same last name as her, Rooney. Her name is Barbara Rooney. And I said, oh, we have the same name. And she said, oh, wow, Rosemary, that's interesting. So just so you know, Rosemary doesn't have kids with the Rooney name. It was me, Carolyn. I don't want her to be confused.
My daughter's name is Althea, just like mine. So there you are. And even when she got married, she kept her own name. So there you are. There it is.
Margaret. Oh, sorry.
No, we're not Rooneys. Carolyn is a Rooney. Can we move on now?
Yes.
Can we move on to more important things?
Maggie said to tell you she still thinks her ex-husband is sulfur. And she also wants to know, is the book the same as the original?
With some slight, very slight variations, but the biggest difference I think with this book is we made it into sort of more like a coffee table size, so that, you know, it's easier to read in lots of ways. And we have put, every now and again, we've got a notes page with lines for people to make notes in there, but you can, you know, conquer that easily by just, you know, getting a notebook and using a note, because you do need, with this book, you will find that you want to make notes. You will find that you want to figure out who, not only who you are, because that's the most important thing when you first read this. You need to find out who you are, but then you also need to find out, you know, and you want to find out who everybody else you know is, because that really does bring real light and real enlightenment. And you'll start reading, you say, oh my goodness, that's why she does that, that's why he's this way, and so on and so forth. And even now we're all soul signed out, Carolyn and I. We're sort of, you know, we know this book inside and out, although you wouldn't think so, because I just got I just gave you air signs instead of fire signs. But anyway, but even now we're all we're working through this. Even now, after all of this, we are still having conversations as we come to things, and we'll still have conversations. And we came to a part yesterday, and I said to Carolyn, well, that describes my son-in-law exactly. That's who he is. That's why he is the way he is, and so on. It described, and we're always doing that, aren't we? And so it's a fascinating subject, and it's a fascinating book. Let's have our next question.
Deborah wants to let you know she did make the cake. It was delicious. She said her one thing was it was difficult to change ounces to cups and teaspoons.
Well, I can't help that. You're on your own there. It's like, you know, too bad for you, because I'm British. I can't change it.
Tell her what you have that makes it so easy for you, though. How you do it.
What do I have?
Your scale. Which?
Oh, here's the thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I have. There are cheap set of scales, kitchen scales. They're OXO. I think they are. Yeah, they're OXO. I love these scales because they give me metric and they give me ounces. So I can just click a button. Also, what I can do is, and I love doing this with these scales, you can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond or anywhere you like. OXO, OXO, OXO. I'm advertising OXO kitchen scales. All right. You can literally, they've got a nice big screen. You can see clearly. But what you can do is you can sort of click it, put it on. It goes to naught. It's digital. It goes to naught or 0. And then you put a bowl on it, and then you can put it to 0 again, and then you can start putting stuff in to the bowl. So it's like you don't have to weigh it. What am I saying? You don't have to weigh it in a bag. You just weigh it in the bowl. So I often get my mixing bowl and I put it on the scales. Then I put it to 0, and then I start weighing. But I can have metric, or I can have ounces, pounds and ounces. Now, a teaspoon is a teaspoon is a teaspoon. I think the measuring teaspoons, I think that, what I've tried to do is use the measuring teaspoons that you have is a teaspoon. I'm trying to think here. I mean, go to Google, just Google it, darling. There's go for the table. There's a metric table, and there's all sorts of tables, and you can just change it. And once you've changed it, stick to that. So I'm so sorry I gave you this difficult task, but was the chocolate cake worth it? This is what I want to know, because it is the most moist and the most delicious. However, there's a little coffee in this chocolate cake. This is why it's called a chocolate cake. Chocolate something. Yes, anyway, which I call it. All right. And I had a visitor here from England, a friend of mine, with her husband and her 5-year-old son. He's almost 5-year-old son. And so he had this chocolate cake, and he heard his mum and I talking about this chocolate cake. And his mum said to me, does this have a bit of coffee in it? And I said, it does, because that's why it's a chocolate. So this little boy, Charlie, ate his chocolate cake, and he liked it. He ate it. And then a bit later on, he came back into the kitchen. He said, Rosemary. And I said, yes, darling. He said, do do you have chocolate cake? I said, yes, I do. He said, do you have chocolate cake without coffee? I said, no, I don't. He said, well, do you have any other kind of cake? This kid just wanted cake. But it's a good cake. It's a great cake. And you can actually, the recipe that I give gives it sort of split in half. But if you really want to make it really, really rich, you can sort of make it into a four tier because it's deep, or even a 3 tier because it's deep enough, and put that delicious cream stuff in the middle of that. And that's enough about the cooking. Let's go back to soul signs, shall we? Yes.
Question again from Maggie. Can a water sign get so stirred up they are mistaken for a fire sign?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, we're all capable of that passion, let's be clear. Some of us more so than others. I've been to the point where I've been so stirred up as an earth sign, and usually earth signs are very, sort of like this. We plan, we strategize, we're able to deal with our emotions, control our emotions. And I personally, as an earth sign, I'm able to step back. But water signs, you see, you get that whirlpool thing that goes on sometimes, or that tidal wave that comes over sometimes. Oh, yes, water signs are definitely can be, when they're really riled, or when something gets them very excited or very, despondent or whatever, yes, or angry. They can be that whirlwind, or they can be that same as an earth sign. Air signs are very passive. But look at the hurricanes that rage, especially in Florida. Air is capable of strong emotion. You have to be driven to it, and it's not their natural driving force. But yes, if something gets them to the point of hurricane proportions emotionally, you will see an air sign, whoa, come in like a whirlwind. But with an air sign, it comes quickly and it usually goes quickly. But the aftermath, what it leaves behind, it can be a bit, traumatic, and everybody's sitting back thinking, oh my goodness, what happened to him? It's not usually that way. What happened to her? So yes, darling, we're all capable of that passion, and you can easily mistake a water sign in their passion or their anger for a fire sign. Yeah. Fire signs don't have the monopoly. What is that? That's sure. Fire signs don't have the monopoly on passion by any means. Okay.
Okay, Gabriella, it's more of a comment. She says, it's very difficult to be married to a warrior. She said, I'm always in a storm of ideas and things to do.
Is she a warrior?
No, I believe her.
Yeah, what is she? Does she know what she is?
I'll ask her. There's a little bit of a
earth signs can be tough because, we have our plan. And, we have to, a more mature earth sign will understand that we can actually move the plan or change the plan. But a hunter soul, for instance, once they've got a plan, they'll stick it through no matter what, sometimes to their own detriment. They have to learn to be more mature, but, it can be tough. It can be tough. But I know as an earth sign, I'm not an easy person to live with. I'm actually a very easy person to work with, wouldn't you say?
To work, yes. No, it's because I
you don't have to say that.
No,
you say what you like. So, I'm very easy to work with, and I'm actually very.
You're very clear.
Yes,
and that to me is very helpful.
Yeah, I'm very clear in what I want. I'm very clear in what I don't want. Very clear in what I like and what I don't like. When I'm giving advice to people, which I'm often asked to do, I'm very clear in that advice, I think. But I mean, part of that is what I do, but, another part of it is because I'm an earth sign, I try to make the communication is the most important thing to me. And earth signs are about communication. We really are. This is why my daughter's a writer, because she wants to communicate. She wants to communicate with people. She wants to communicate in her inner heart. She wants to express and to use those communication skills, which is what earth signs are certainly known for. In personal relationships, I think I'm a very easy person to live with until I'm not, and that's all I can say.
You have very high standards.
I have excruciatingly high standards. You go in my cupboards, it's a nightmare.
Yes,
Everything's in a row, in labels all, I go into my brother's kitchen, I open the door and it's, oh my God, he's just the same as me because all his jars of bottles in a row, so on and so forth. And so,
yes, I get anxiety when you ask me to put something back in the cabinet. I'm like, oh, this is the right spot.
But I don't go off at a tangent.
No, you don't.
If something's not put right, a lot of earth signs will go off in a tangent, and I don't do that because I do try to understand that other people do not have my way of doing things. But if I open my cupboard door, I know immediately if somebody's been in there who shouldn't have been in there because things are not quite, even if you tried, you don't have the label quite the right way. I'm telling you, it's like, what can I say?
I love this book because after reading it...
I'm going to put you in camera again here. It's all right?
After reading it so many times and thinking about, let's just say like the last 20 years, my husband and there's been a time where I've been known to tell my husband, why do you have to be so perfect? You always have to be perfect. You always have to be right. My son...
He's an earth sign never.
Yes. And now it makes sense, and my son, who is a bright star, why do you always have to be, it's always about you. It's always about you, And now reading this book, yes, I'm going, oh, all those things truly make sense.
And are you more tolerant now?
Oh,
you're more understanding, do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
And it helps you, doesn't it? Because it's not personal. You realize now that my being a finicky, anal, perfect, or striving, I'm not perfect by any means, but striving for perfection in my work, in my life, it's not personal. I'm not judging anybody else and saying to somebody else, look, you're not perfect and I am. It's just my way is, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it right. I mean, if you're in the kitchen cooking with me, poor Carolyn, I mean, it's like a nightmare really, isn't it? Because it's not just got to be 1 ounce and a bit. It's, we try to do it as right as we can. I'll try recipes a dozen times before I'm happy with, before I can say to you, try that chocolate cake because I can guarantee it's going to be one of the best you've ever eaten. I've made it, I don't know how many times, and tried it and taken out a bit of this, added a bit more of that, and so on and so forth, until I can get it right. So, so it really helps to know what soul sign you are, because then you understand yourself as well as everybody else. So, and understanding yourself is really important to be able to do.
Well, even what I was just saying with my husband, it got to the point where, he would get tired of listening to me tell him that, and he would say, I am not perfect. I don't think I'm perfect. Why do you keep saying that? Now, since I've read soul signs and I've, essentially explained to him who he is, we don't have that issue anymore. I don't say you're trying to be perfect. Now I understand it's just
she says, oh God, you're an earth sign.
And he goes, yes, I am. So I'm behaving like I'm supposed to. But now it's humorous to us. It's not the bickering. Why do you have to be perfect?
And it's not personal anymore. You understand that somebody just can't help the behavior, and then it becomes, then you become more understanding and more tolerant.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else out there? Because Carol and I we're just having our own conversation here and ignoring all of you. So let's not do that. So,
Gabriella, who is married to the warrior sign, says she is a prophet.
So she's an air sign. Yes. And is that difficult then? Does she say
she says that she is married with a warrior because she's always in a storm of ideas and things to do. Because her warrior husband is always has ideas.
And I bet that he inspires you, and I bet that he encourages you to do that because he's a warrior. So he's going to encourage you to, as long as it agrees with him and what he's doing and what he thinks is the right thing to do, he's probably going to agree with you. I also think that he probably nurtures you tremendously. You can let us know on that one, but I would guess as a warrior with a prophet, a very good friend of mine is a prophet, and I love him to pieces. He's lovely. I don't know if I could be married to him, honestly, but you know, we're very compatible and we get on really, really well together. And he's come and stayed several times at my house for longish periods of time. And we get on really, really great. But there are occasions that he might think that I'm a bit bossy or a bit pushy, but that's who I am. And not bossy so much, but I can, you know, with prophets, sometimes we have to nudge them. Or that's the interfering nature of an earth sign. We have to nudge them into things. So you know, but yeah, I mean, you can understand the. I don't know if he feels the same way. I think he does because he's still a friend of mine. So
Tracy in Australia.
Hello,
asks,
Tracy, darling. How are you?
She says she's undecided whether she's an earth sign or a fire sign. So maybe you could give her a couple of clues.
You cannot possibly make that mistake, sweetheart. An earth sign is someone who is driven to planning and strategizing, and it's innate in them. They have to do it. They wake up every morning with a what's the plan today thing in their head. A fire sign is a person who is driven by emotion. So whatever is going on in the day, whatever is around them and surrounding them is where they'll go. They're driven by their own passions, but they're also driven by other people's passion as well. A fire sign will look for excitement and they'll go where they, you know, need to be noticed. So they'll go where they can be noticed. They, you know, they're often very, very creative, as are earth signs. Many earth signs are too. Just because, you know, I'm saying that earth signs are more of this and fire signs are more of that doesn't mean that we don't have similar traits, all of us. But you can't be mistaken about this. So I'm going to say. I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you figure it out for yourself. But I think
she thinks she just doesn't really want to be a fire sign.
Oh, fire signs are lovely. They're lovely. They can be lovely. They really can. Just because earth signs don't get on that, you know, we have struggles with them, doesn't mean they're not lovely people. Fire signs are gorgeous people, lovely people.
I think life would be boring without them. They're the partiers.
Yes. Carolyn would get on great being married to a fire sign, but you'd douse him with water every now and again and put his fire out, wouldn't you? So that wouldn't be good. Are you sure you're a fire sign, Tracy? I'm suspecting not.
Okay, and Dean says,
oh boy, Dean, I love you, darling. How are you doing?
He's visiting his daughter and family, so he's very happy today.
Good.
He wants to know if I visited in order to make some dark chocolate covered cherries with you, Rosemary.
Ooh.
Introspective warrior. Would we end up in a food fight or possibly killing each other?
Introspective warrior. Who's an introspective?
He's an introspective.
You're and I'm warrior. Oh yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, okay.
Would we end up in a food fight or possibly killing each other?
No, because I'll tell you that I've come back to my friend she's fabulous. She's one of the best, most talented artists I've ever had the pleasure and to know. She's amazing. She's so creative. She's so amazing. As I know, Dean, you are in your music, which reminds me, we just bought my 4-year-old grandson a guitar yesterday. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But no, we would not, because you do as I told you. That that would be how it would work. And your prize would be that you get to eat the dark chocolate. It'd have to be dark chocolate covered cherries. I love cherries. I love dark chocolate cherries. I love dark chocolate cherries. So no, you could visit and you could make cherries with me and you could eat them too. And anyway, and how's the girlfriend going, Dean? Because you spoke to us about a girlfriend. We are out of time. Are we out of time? We're almost out of time.
We got time for Dean to answer.
I'm not going there. Do we have anyone else here before we?
No.
And we are, just to say, we really are working on soul signs. We really are. Oh my goodness, we're going to open a bottle of champagne. once we've, I had, you know what I had last night? My daughter came with my grandson for my birthday, and I made rack of lamb, which I think I told you all. I made a delicious rack of lamb with I used my very own pesto recipe. And I made duck à l'orange, which I had the leftovers yesterday with the orange sauce and the duck. And there was a glass and a half of champagne now, because we opened champagne on Sunday as well. So there was a glass and a half of champagne. So I sat by myself yesterday watching TV. I was watching Graham Norton again, with the duck, and cold duck with gorgeous orange sauce and some champagne. So anyone who wants to visit, if you bring your own champagne, I'll make the duck. How does that sound? I'll make whatever you want for me to make. So, all right. So in the meantime, are we done here?
I think you should just mention that there's a whole chapter on mirror image with the two soul signs that are the same. We've had a lot of questions.
Oh, right. Which is most compatible with which? Look, if you want to order your copy of Soul Signs now, you can email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, because it is literally within a week or two away of being completely completed and for sale. There is a chapter in there for those of you who already have the book, and it's called Mirror Image, and it describes your most and your least compatible mate. This applies both in the workplace and in personal relationships. There is also a chapter in the book called Soulmates, Helpmates, Workmates, I think in that order, and that will tell you those compatible soul signs who are your soulmates, those compatible soul signs who are the people you can play with and not necessarily have a personal relationship with, but you can play with and you can have fun with. And for instance, I'm an earth sign. I can have a fun with a fire sign anytime, going out and having fun anytime, going to a jazz concert or a music festival or even to the theatre. So we do have those moments of compatibility, and also in the workplace. So there are chapters for these things which will be helpful to you. If you want to know any more, please contact us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. If you want to order your copy of Soul Signs, again, email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are wherever else we are. We are on YouTube.
Meetup.com.
We're on Meetup, and if you want to see this show again, it's live now, but it will be on YouTube. You'll be able to get it anytime. If you want to, Dean, if you want to sort of share it with your daughters, take them to it. Once we're done here, you can take them to it and they can listen to it as well. Let everyone know, share, subscribe. Please share this YouTube with whoever you want to know. And in the meantime, I think we're out of time, actually. Are we out of time?
Yeah, pretty much. Real quick, we are looking for show ideas.
Oh, we're looking for show ideas. So if you've got any questions or any subject.
Well, don't say any.
If you got a good topic that we might like to talk about, please let us know, because if you've always wondered about anything to do with the spirit world, a certain issue or a certain question that you've always had in your mind that you think might be interesting for us to do on our weekly shows, just please email us and let us know. Okay, so in the meantime, I think we are really out of time, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the third time I've said it as well. I don't know what we did today. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time.
Everybody's saying
we are saying thank you to Grey Eagle once again. Thank you, Caroline, for being on the show. What?
Caroline.
Sorry. Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
You see, these little water signs, they can be just as bossy as an earth sign when they feel like it, when they want to be. Come on in and say bye-bye, because you've been part of the show. Say bye-bye. Bye, everyone. All right, darling.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, there we are. I do have this very quick thing to tell you. I put this pink thing on today, and Carolyn said to me, shouldn't it be red, white, and blue for Memorial Day? And I looked at her, I gave her one of those deadly looks of mine, and I said, you do realize I'm British, don't you? We don't celebrate Memorial Day in Britain. Again, our love, our wishes, and our healing thoughts to all of you in Manchester and all of you in England who are suffering right now with this awful tragedy. If you need any help, if you need any healing, if you need any help or advice, please email us again, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. In the meantime, to all of you joining us, all of you who are going to watch this show, in the meantime, until next time, until next week, please, please, please have a very, very blessed day.